Welcome back to Workplace Q&A, the series where I answer your questions about careers, management, leadership, human resources, and the real situations people face in today's workplace. The names and locations in these stories have been changed, but the workplace lessons they're based on are real. My goal is simple: help you avoid some of the mistakes that managers and employees make every single day. So let's get to today's question. Today's question is from Charlie in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And Charlie writes, "Hi Todd, my name is Charlie and I'm from Kenosha, Wisconsin. I'm a hiring manager for a company and my supervisor has been sending me text messages for years that have really started to bother me. For example, we had an applicant named Jessica. Before I even interviewed her, my supervisor texted me, 'Don't hire her. She and her husband are potheads.' There was never any discussion about her qualifications or experience. On another occasion, another manager recommended an applicant, and my supervisor responded by calling that person names and telling me not to hire anyone associated with him. I've also received messages where coworkers were referred to using vulgar names, and employees were talked about in ways that I didn't think belonged in a professional workplace. There were even times when he wanted hiring decisions changed because of personal feelings towards another employee rather than because of anything the applicant had done. Looking back, I realized I went along with a lot of it because he was my boss. I answered his texts, changed interviews when he asked, and tried to keep the peace. Now I'm wondering if I should have handled things differently. Todd, if you were in my shoes, what would you have done?" Charlie, first of all, thank you for your writing in. I think your question is one that a lot of managers can relate to. If everything happened the way you described it, there are several things that would concern me. The first is the hiring process. Every applicant deserves to be evaluated on their own qualifications, not on rumors, gossip, or someone else's personal feelings. Once hiring decisions start being driven by personalities instead of performance, you're opening the door to poor decisions and an unhealthy workplace. The second thing that stands out is the communication itself. When supervisors begin using vulgar language about employees or applicants, or start making hiring recommendations based on personal grudges, that behavior can eventually become part of the company's culture. Before long, people stop talking about work and start talking about people. The third thing is something you admitted yourself. You went along with it because he was your boss. Charlie, I understand that. Most people don't want to challenge the person they report to. We all want to keep the peace, but one of the hardest lessons I've learned is that just because a supervisor says something doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. If I could go back and give you, or honestly my younger self, some advice, here's what I would do. I would keep every hiring decision focused on the applicant's qualifications. I would refuse to let personal opinions or office politics influence who gets interviewed or hired. And I'd remember that every text message you send has the potential to be read by human resources, company leadership, an attorney, or even a jury someday. If you wouldn't be comfortable explaining that message later, don't send it. Most importantly, don't become the culture you're working in. Sometimes the people around us normalize behavior that isn't actually professional. It's easy to slowly adapt until it no longer feels unusual. That's why every manager has to decide where their own standards are and stick to them, even if no one else does. Charlie, thank you again for your question. I hope there's something in my answer that helps you and maybe someone else watching today. If you have a workplace question you'd like to answer on a future episode of Workplace Q&A, send it to jobsearchrealityseries@gmail.com. Your name and location can always be changed for privacy. I'm Todd Brooks, and if you enjoy workplace stories, management lessons, leadership discussions, and career advice, please like, subscribe, and share. I'll see you next time on Workplace Q&A.